Well, this afternoon, only on Fox, the wife of a highway patrolman critically injured in the line of duty earlier this year, now opening up about his recovery.
We first told you about Lance Corporal Devin Kugler when he was hit by a car during a traffic stop in October.
Now, from there, he spent almost a month in the hospital before being released. So now, Fox Carolina's Anna Arender has a letter with us from his wife, Anna.
Well, that's right. And we have been in communication with her, and in her words, the recovery has been a consistent battle. She says when they see progress in one area, they discover problems in another, but they are staying continuously optimistic and cautiously optimistic for this route for the recovery and his future.
This is a picture of Devin Kugler back in October, lying in a hospital bed in pain, broken bones, and just waking up after being on a ventilator. This is a picture of him now working with his therapist 10 hours a week, 12 to 15 appointments a month, in a neck brace and heavily reliant on a wheelchair because he can't put weight on his still broken leg. In a letter, his wife Mandy shares in intimate details the realities of his trauma, the strides forward, and the setbacks. Next month, she says if his tibia and fibula continue to heal properly, he could be allowed to bear weight on his leg and look ahead to walking again. The neck brace still has about 2 weeks before it can possibly come off. Devin has hearing loss in his right ear, struggles with dizziness, and the optic nerves that travel to the base of his brain aren't functioning properly, impacting his vision. He is still healing from his severe brain injury and has significant nerve damage, feeling pain when he shouldn't, and sensitive to temperatures. But Mandy says the part that he struggles with the most is the possibility of never being cleared to return to work as a South Carolina highway patrolman.
Well, long term, if he doesn't return to work, he could be on workers' compensation for years, receiving less than 67% of his income. So they have to plan for the future. But Mandy thanks the community and their extreme generosity and support. Now, Serve and Connect just recently giving the family over $48,000 from their fundraiser. And there have also been countless others throughout the upstate. Now, to read the full statement from Mandy and the Kugler family, you can visit our website, foxcarolina.com. I'm Anna Arender. Justin, Tori, back to you.